in COVID context, we're still in this content mill, whether it's micro content or longer content, whatnot. How can we bring these strategies together, so to speak? How do we demonstrate this posture with our church?
I think it's by actually going about and doing that. There are people in your local community that are suffering, whether that's because of health, that's because of loneliness, that's because of a mental illness, that's because they're actually hungry. What does it look like for us to intentionally go look for those people? Sure, there's people on our walls and we need to absolutely minister to us, for sure. There's value in inreach, but what would it look like for us to actually to be keeping our eyes open for those kinds of people? What if instead of pulling up at the exit of the freeway and simply turning the other way when someone's out there saying they're hungry, what would it look like to carve out, intentionally going to that same exit every single day, getting to know that person, even in 30-second intervals, getting to know their story and helping them when we can. I think that would do something. I think this is the beauty of what our friends over at Tell Them Creatives and Fusion Ministries in San Bernardino, Jasper Tiriaga and Bo Kim, they're doing a homeless ministry. And at the beginning, they're giving out hundreds of meals every single day. And so it was all about how many people can we feed? Because the thing that we want to be able to say is we fed 1,000 people. What they quickly found out was that wasn't the most important thing that they were doing. Because other church ministries were also coming through and people literally even told them, we already have enough food. So what they said is instead of going to 10 areas, we're going to go to 4 areas instead. And instead of just drop and go, like in some churches that because of COVID, their strategy was, hey, stay over there. I'm going to come, drop the food on the ground. I'm going to walk away and then you can come and get the food. We're not saying that you wanted to completely disregard COVID, but what they decided to do with Fusion Ministries was, you know what, instead of going to 10 locations, we're going to go to 4. And instead of just trying to get there quickly, we're going to spend intentionally 30, 45 minutes in every location. And instead of just giving them something to eat, I'm going to give them food, sure, but I'm going to sit there and eat with the person. And the simple starting fact of saying, now I actually know your name. And next time I come, I actually continue to remember your name and to hear your stories. They've been seeing baptisms every single week of coronavirus simply because they're not just showing up and quote unquote doing the work, but they're actually building community. They're building this relational depth, and they're actually sitting there with the posture of a listener, actually listening.
I remember taking it fully digital. I remember a creative platform doing something that blew my mind really early when I came back to church. And what they did was they created a focus group completely of non-Christians. And so they said, hey, this is what we're creating. We would like people who don't believe like us to give us some feedback. And their question wasn't, do you agree theologically with us? It was, how do you see this impacting the world? You know, what is the posture of our church? What is the honest feedback of us existing? What is the impact we make? And to some people, they can believe that maybe Christianity is ideologically wrong and still believe it's beneficial. You know, if we are acting on behalf of the suffering, if we are helping, they can still have a positive view of us. But there are also people who view, Christians and Christianity as actively harmful. And in some cases, they're both correct, depending on what your interaction has been. But that act of saying, we know for sure you don't believe like us, and we still value your opinion, and they did it all online. They were just like, hey, we want your honest feedback. We're not going to argue. We're just going to ask honest questions because we want to know what the impact is that we're doing. And in doing this, I wish we did it more with even community service, right? Because there are so many church groups who, like in homeless ministry, go throw food out, make themselves feel good, and are they actually connecting with the community? Are they actually bonding with them? Are they actually building up the people? Maybe not. But if you took the time to get to know the people, you would understand the nuance and complexity of their needs and be able to speak a lot better to those.